Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld again, and today I thought we'd take a quick look at what I think is probably Battlefield 1's biggest flaw. And that's the whole idea that parts of this game have been designed with a focus on team play, but on the other hand, its framework doesn't really support that. For example, the weapon balance and things like tanks and sentries make it much harder now for individual players to run around lone wolf. And yet when it comes to the way things like VOIP or squads work, well, it's all still pretty much the same, which means people still aren't working as a team. On the other hand though, games like Squad, Siege, Arma 3 and Insurgency have all pretty much rewritten the book when it comes to this sort of thing. And that's actually kind of sad to say, considering Battlefield has always historically been a franchise that leads the way. With that being said though, I don't think it's too late yet for DICE to take a cue from these other games and maybe borrow some of their features. And so what we're going to do in this video is take a look at 6 that I think could really turn these problems around and maybe even bring BF1 back to the head of the pack again. Now, to kick off, the first feature that most of these other games have is a full screen squad spectator mode for when you're in the spawn screen. And the whole point of this is so that you can assist your teammates when you're dead and also get an idea of the situation for when you spawn back in. All the current spawn screen does is show you where your squad mates are on the map, which isn't really enough to figure out whether they're safe spawns. And basically, currently the only way to figure this out is to ask them, which isn't really an option most of the time if your squad mates aren't using VoIP. Also, on the topic of VoIP, well, I think the current system is probably one of the biggest killers of team play in BF1 and has been for the last few games. And that's because with much better third-party apps like TeamSpeak and Discord available, well, a lot of people are just turning off the in-game feature. What all of the other games I just mentioned have done to get around this is add in a local VoIP feature, which allows you to talk to players near your location. And basically what that means is that if you don't want to use your squad VoIP, then that's fine, but at least people will still have a way to talk to you if they really need to. Now, along the same sort of lines as that last point, another major means of communication in games like Arma and Squad is the map. And what I mean by this, for example, is that squad leaders can add different markers to the map for their squad or their whole team to see. In BF1, the only thing that we have that's kind of like this is the marker created when the SL gives an order, which often triggers at the wrong time anyway. And not just that, it's not very specific either, and it doesn't really give the squad any info on exactly how the SL wants them to approach the objective. Also, speaking of squad leaders, well, as far as I can tell, at the moment this role doesn't really have a lot of benefits apart from being able to kick people. Whereas, on the other hand, in a game like Squad, for example, the SL is the most important member because he's the only one able to place down spawn points. The catch is, to place these points, the rest of the squad needs to be near him, so in other words, if you don't follow him, you're going to be running across the map when you die. And I think a similar system could work in Battlefield, for example if they gave the SL some sort of unique rally point like the spawn beacon from BF4. Now, to finish up, another important feature that I've been arguing for years that all of these other games have is kit limits. Because at the moment we have a real problem in BF1 with too many people choosing the Scout kit, which isn't fun for everyone, especially on modes like Rush. The easiest way to avoid this problem is just to limit the amount of slots for each particular role to avoid ending up with these unbalanced servers. And I know this might seem like a pretty tough rule, but believe me, it works in all of the other games I just mentioned, so I don't see why it couldn't work just as well in BF1. Also, finally, to follow on from that last point, another annoying thing about squads in Battlefield is the fact that people often don't fill them up. Or, on the other hand, sometimes you'll join a server only to find that all the slots are full, except for in a half-full squad that someone has gone and locked. The simplest way for DICE to get around this is to firstly disable squad locking, and also to set a limit on the amount of squads that can be created on each team. And I think a good way to make sure that people keep them full is make kits work like they do in the other games I mentioned, in the sense that you have to join a squad before you can actually select your kit. But anyway guys, I think that just about wraps up this video, so let me know what you think about these 6 points, and as always, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Also, check out the links in the description below if you want to see any more of my videos, or if you want to support my channel on Patreon. And until next time, see you later, and have a good one.